Hello, this is Arturelia Film and Reviews. I'm Arturelia, and today I'll be reviewing Sinister. Was a film that we started or watched at least at the very start of 2015, and that's actually the first and last time I saw it. But like I said before in I think the first review, I have a good memory. Also, when I look up stuff, I can refresh my mind. Sinister was a horror film that was pretty creepy, but is it really a film worth watching, even only one time? Well, that's why you're here. Today I'll be reviewing Sinister. Let's go. When an author moves into a home with his wife and kids, the house they move into is a place where a family was murdered all together near a tree. Elson wants to use this for a new book, but also to find the fate of what happened to these people. However, when he finds an old camera, a Super 8mm, and reels of footage, he sees different victims that were recorded being murdered. Where does this lead? How do they all connect? Will he actually solve the problem, or will he die trying? In the end, something strange is going on. And what happened to the children of these victims, who disappeared right after their deaths? I can't really remember much of the soundtrack. I mean, just typical horror soundtrack. I can say when I remember watching it, I remember the film looked pretty grayish. Well, in a sense. I mean. Certain points will make you jump or shock you due to violence shown in the footage he's watching. Yeah, it was a bit gruesome. As for my enjoyment, now like I said, the only time I watched it was 2015. What can I say about it? Well, it was creepy. And whatever the thing was pretty creepy in this film too. Yet by the end of the film, I was like, eh. This film did have some scary and disturbing scenes. However, would it be something I would come back to, or anyone else? Not really. I mean, it's not a bad film, but it's not the greatest film. It's not really like this film I would typically come back and watch again just for like a horror film. I'd rather watch other like horror films. This one was just, well, let's just say, spoiler alert, the ending had a lot to do with it. And these type of films don't really interest me either. I mean, it really just depends on the horror film. Films these days for horror are really just the same over and over, it feels like. There are a few exceptions, like The Conjuring and Lights Out. Those were good. But when it comes to horror films of today, spoiler alert again, usually they tend to end bad. This film has an ending that will leave you like not really wanting to watch it a second time. I will note there is a sequel to this, but I have not watched it as of this review. And I really don't know whether or not it ties into this film at all, but might because of what's in this film. So in general, Sinister wasn't my favorite. Well, Sinister, a type of horror film that is very creepy, but it lacks certain things, especially a second time watching it. And it's just this film I would just move on after watching it. It would just get a 6 out of 10. It's okay. You may enjoy it for a time, but then again, you just move on to something else, a different horror film. This is the type of horror film that you just move on afterwards, or you may just forget about it. Not that the acting was bad or anything, but it's just not... It had disturbing moments, yes. Some pretty creepy moments, which will get you, but not enough to bring you back for a second ride. For my recommendations, there obviously is Sinister 2. But if you want something that, I think is a good watch, maybe a few times, and I actually like the characters and story, is Lights Out. But obviously the best of the few is the Conjuring series. That's a really good series in horror as of today. But obviously there are old horror franchises that you could watch until they start doing stupid things where they bring it back every time. Well, this is Arturelia Film Room Reviews, signing off.